If you clicked expecting a normal pet countdown, you clicked the wrong video. Because this one starts at a literal $1 rescue animal and ends with a pet so expensive, so restricted, and so wild that owning one can realistically cost close to $1 million over its lifetime. Stick around for that one, because the twist at the end genuinely changes how expensive pet should even be measured. Let's start at the bottom. Pet number 1, $1. Reptile and exotic pet rescues occasionally run surplus adoption events, almost identical to the $1 cat and dog adoption days regular shelters run, except this time, it's reptiles. One rescue listing turned up exactly that. A rare, unusually patterned leopard gecko given up by a previous owner who could no longer care for it. Adopted out for a literal $1 rehoming fee. Here's the twist that makes this one interesting. Leopard geckos with unusual color morphs, the kind selectively bred for specific patterns, can normally sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the exact genetics involved. Some of the rarest morphs, bred through years of careful pairing, have sold to collectors for over $10,000 for a single gecko. This one just happened to need a home fast, and the rescue wasn't about to let genetics get in the way of an animal finding somewhere safe to live. A rare pet for the price of a gumball, and honestly, probably a happier ending than most of the animals further down this list are gonna get. Pet number 2, around $150. Next up, a silky chicken. And yes, this is a real, recognized breed, not a costume. Silkies have fluffy, fur-like feathers instead of normal smooth ones, black skin and bones underneath all that fluff, and even 5 toes on each foot instead of the usual 4 that basically every other chicken breed has. A standard chicken from a farm store might cost a few dollars. A show-quality silky with the right coloring and lineage can run $100 to $200, and truly rare colorations, like solid black iham shamani crossed lines, which take on the deep, almost inky black coloring throughout the whole bird, skin, organs, and all, can push prices considerably higher. They're famously one of the most docile chicken breeds that exist, calm enough that some people genuinely keep them as indoor pets, which, once you've seen how much they look like a fluffy cotton ball with legs, tracks completely. They also tend to go broody constantly, meaning they'll happily sit on and hatch eggs that aren't even their own, making them a favorite among backyard breeders who need a reliable surrogate mom. Pet number 3, around $3,000. Now we're stepping into true exotic pet territory, a fennec fox. These are the smallest fox species on Earth, instantly recognizable by ears that look almost too big for their entire body. Which isn't just for looks. Those oversized ears radiate heat and help them survive brutal desert temperatures in their native range across North Africa. Fennec foxes typically sell for $2,500 to $3,500, and they're legal to own in some US states and completely banned in others. So buying one usually comes with a fair amount of paperwork before the fox even shows up. Owners describe them as somewhere between a cat and a dog in personality, but with a genuinely wild streak that never fully goes away, no matter how many generations removed from the wild they are. They're also nocturnal, incredibly vocal, and known for a habit called caching, where they'll bury toys, food, or literally anything they've decided is valuable, then dig it back up hours or days later, seemingly just to check it's still there. Pet number 4, around $30,000. Next, a hyacinth macaw, the largest flying parrot species on Earth, with a wingspan that can stretch past 4 feet and feathers in a deep, almost impossibly vivid cobalt blue. These birds are famously intelligent, capable of learning dozens of words and phrases, and can live 50 years or longer, meaning a hyacinth macaw purchased today could realistically outlive its original owner. Prices typically range from $10,000 to $40,000 depending on age, whether it's hand-raised, and how well socialized it already is. Part of what drives the price is real scarcity. Hyacinth macaws are classified as vulnerable in the wild, largely due to habitat loss and decades of illegal capture for the pet trade, which means every legally bred bird represents a genuinely limited supply. Owners often describe the sound of an unhappy hyacinth macaw as roughly comparable to a car alarm going off inside your living room, which is worth knowing before spending 5 figures on one. Pet number 5, around $40,000. Now things get genuinely wild, literally. This is a serval, a mid-sized wild African cat, known for absurdly long legs and a build made for pouncing on prey hidden in tall grass. Servals can leap over 8 feet straight up from a standing position to snatch a bird clean out of the air, which is a genuinely unsettling thing to witness up close in someone's backyard. Servals typically run anywhere from $5,000 on the low end up to $35,000 or more for well-bred, well-socialized individuals from reputable breeders. Servals are also the wild ancestor behind the Savannah cat breed. But unlike a Savannah, this isn't a hybrid diluted down with house cat genetics. This is the real, fully wild animal, just raised in captivity from birth. Enclosure requirements alone in states that still permit ownership can run into the tens of thousands of dollars before the cat even arrives, since servals are notorious escape artists, capable of clearing fences that would easily contain a large dog. Pet number 6, around $12,000. But don't let that number fool you. Next, a capuchin monkey. The same species famous for appearing in movies and TV shows, often trained to perform small tasks or tricks. Capuchins typically cost somewhere around $10,000 to $15,000, and that price is really just the entry fee, not the real cost of ownership. Here's the twist. Capuchins can live 40 to 50 years in captivity, are exceptionally intelligent, and require an enormous amount of daily social interaction and enrichment. Bored capuchins are known to become destructive, and in the wild, they live in complex social troops of a dozen or more, which a single human household can never fully replicate. Several U.S. states and countries have banned or heavily restricted private primate ownership specifically because of how badly this mismatch tends to go for both the monkey and the owner. Factor in decades of specialized diet, veterinary care, and enrichment costs across a near half-century lifespan, and this $12,000 pet quietly becomes one of the more expensive long-term commitments on this entire list, price tag aside. Pet number 7, around $80,000. And now, the one everyone's been waiting for, a white tiger cub. Depending on the breeder, lineage, and state, cub prices alone typically run anywhere from $25,000 up to $100,000, with well-documented healthy cubs from ethical operations sitting toward the higher end of that range. Even celebrities have made headlines for this one. Boxer Mike Tyson famously owned pet tigers in the 1990s, an ownership story that's been referenced in interviews and documentaries for decades since, partly because it illustrates exactly how casually big cat ownership used to be treated in parts of the US. But here's where the real number hides. A proper enclosure alone, secure fencing, a reinforced roof, acreage requirements that most states legally mandate, can cost over $100,000 on its own. Add specialized veterinary care, which can run several $1,000s a year, professional handler training, liability insurance that can cost thousands annually just to legally keep the animal, and food costs that scale with an animal that can eat over 10 pounds of meat a day, and total first-year costs for a white tiger have been estimated well into 6 figures before the cat's even fully grown. And there's a genuinely sad detail worth knowing. White tigers only exist because of a rare, doubly recessive genetic trait, deliberately preserved through generations of inbreeding, specifically to keep producing that white coat, which means many white tigers are also born with related health issues like crossed eyes, clubbed feet, or shortened lifespans, hidden costs that no price tag ever fully captures. The twist: why $1 million isn't even an exaggeration. Here's the number that ties this whole video together. A white tiger can live 15 to 20 years in captivity. Stack that first 6-figure setup year on top of ongoing annual costs: vet care, insurance, food, enclosure maintenance, specialized staff. And the true lifetime cost of legally and properly caring for a single white tiger can realistically approach, or even cross, $1 million over its full lifespan. Not the sticker price on day one, the actual total, added up year after year for 2 decades straight, And here's the twist within the twist. As of 2022, the U.S. passed the Big Cat Public Safety Act, a federal law that now bans most new private ownership of tigers, lions, leopards, and other big cats entirely, with only accredited zoos, sanctuaries, and a small number of grandfathered existing owners allowed to keep them going forward. Which means the $1 million pet on this list isn't just the most expensive one. For almost everyone watching this video, it's also now the one you legally can't buy at all, no matter how much money you're willing to spend. The $1 million price tag turned out to be the least restrictive part of the whole equation. Final thoughts. So there you have it. From a $1 rescue gecko who just needed a home, past a fluffy black-skinned chicken, a desert fox with ears bigger than its own head, a macaw louder than a car alarm, a wild cat that can jump over an 8-foot fence standing still, a monkey that'll outlive most of its owners, all the way up to an animal whose true lifetime cost edges towards 7 figures and whose ownership is now federally restricted. And honestly, somewhere in the middle of that list, the real lesson starts showing up. The price tag rarely reflects how happy the animal actually is. That $1 gecko is probably living a completely normal, content reptile life right now in someone's spare bedroom, asking for nothing more than crickets and a warm rock. The tiger at the top of this list needs 40 acres, a full-time specialized team, and roughly $1 million just to have a shot at a decent one. And even then, it's a shot most of the country isn't legally allowed to take anymore. Let us know in the comments which pet on this list surprised you the most, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.